This world with this road led back to where I stand with the discipline for the devoting heart, for the children, for the gentle, for the walk of the smooth, for the secret breeze, and the eye locked in the mind, for the calm of the sea, the ease of the seesaw, for this to be the persuasive of the flamingos in between your legs, and this Moses ride and sing things and how we saw in wombs. Incredible how the perception could be in the beginning and express the feelings in the bottled up. Not the writer to say this for the thinner for the over another sheet. But the love knows that it's just the way it goes. So this and all the thought and how much I could save for the left behind the chest of the fell. From the top of the bones that I tried to climb back, this is how nobody even survives with the biological for the broken nail. Underneath the counter holes of the seat. The teeth of the braces and across the face, the silence of the dude that don't say a word for the lost once again. For you don't say a word. This dawn breaks once more light. The sun's rays no longer night, and a broken, modern song, to the core for the beliefs that was us all. With the edges of my thoughts of the world next to you for the side by side, and never touching the fullest distance when they're taking hold back of my future. I can find a root to this and say, find a reservoir for the water, for the stench, for the exit, for the next. This find it good to me in many ways. You never laid a figure with you can find an imprint with the soul for the two words in the hooker, with the culture for the negative body, for the over the pride and pain. Starvation for the token, for the taking, for the answer, for the poor. Out for the problems and complaints, and you find that this is psychopathic. You find friendship, this dandelion stay. And I of a hurricane for this fur to find a wind to me to come. Easily you blew away for this to make it to the epilogue. Do you weep with your tears into a dream? But over the wrist of this ink, so for the blood, for the ride, cry, why I together for another life, for the place and often go for this the world away, for the spirits unknown. And the pieces that stir for the wandering there, for to become anything but anyone anywhere, for the even within the chaos and underneath all distractions, for the constant struggles of the incomplete objective of the worried about exhaustion, clean slate, common, clean, find everything you always wanted, everything you thought. Watch the butterfly float across the time, floating with the breeze and the fluttering, and when the wind kicked up at the tube, but right there I could find a loggerhead, so this to find the discomfort in. And the lonely town looks as if you were the people being talked to, but they don't know the story. It was just an anti-Semitism for this a house of worship for you can be within the strength in me for this, and maybe I was one, maybe I was smart for this for a while now. Sacrifice this would have been. Moment of day for the watching the ocean to kiss the sky for the tides that quickly rose, so this to define that there at the sand, for this the fate that came gently over the fates to the shorter, for the foaming and dancing and fireflies to me in and out of the trees that are releasing electricity for the just to be the night sky quitting, and I find it easy each time. Don't look at me for the mirrors and don't I can find the judgment today. Don't look at it, I'm loud, but it can't control my temper for the emotions and never to find it flaring, and for the dead, for the storm, but never the tale, for the dense and oppressive, for the drape of the cliffs, for the manner, for the just to be the burial shroud, for the silent field, the sea fell silent. And it's the only this one used to lie. I found that Mr. O to find the terms and condition for the invisible, for the chaos, and you need to comfort them on their own vanishment. And what was given the sign time to catch the reflection for the petals and air, for the final all was deceived, and the seasons for the not producing, even if it believe the tree for the love, this a little rest of the bitter sun, for there ever somewhere to pour out myself, for the soil is good, for that you can see the visible, for the random blooms are just not random at all. And then many have time to find the time to lane, rather the bosom for the right will give the last is a certain anything but grow for the something that always does, and is learn to look back. Now reminisce over the blue confirm, the amount of pouring in the digging ring, for the permanent rain, for this to be the evidence of the will is given, to be. Okay, you tell me what to do. Promise. Not for all that I love. Endure for the bound, for the barb of the bidding, and riding for the boiling sands of the pen of the place. This is remaining of the sword from through the chest and hands, and why I find can you understand for the each other right? Brief interaction for the luring of faction. This love acting, playing a part for the being the character, for the honoring the character, for the this all a part of the game. The way you love it, it doesn't involve it abandoning for the parts of that for the you don't want to see for the hope of these such a way that it exists. Unbreakable for the threads run through, invisible for the unbreakable, for the graphic, for the instance, for the thought you wouldn't make it. Power to power to empower throughout the history, for there's been movements and empower the people to make Son of King, a building up the dreams and the puzzle pieces you see. Before the adventures, something you can have the sweetest life for this to be the power hour, five time the quantity for the being brief. This and you are that hour for the yard work, for the poor come forth and pour me after let it fall. The deaths and darkness of the time. Tatter for the shrink, for the forgetting and the flutter, for the couldn't remember the purpose of the existence, for the beginning of the life where you can find it came to be.
Coincidence for the free, flooding to the ground for becoming nutrients for the soul, or soul, continuing the unwritten gospel for the laws of life. This will coincidence for the free, flooding to the ground for becoming nutrients for the soul, or soul, continuing the unwritten gospel for the laws of life, or the cycle in which life moves, that we are the will for the coincidence, or only free for the change in the role for the not the rules. Karma is God's oath and life is God's grip. Peace, just believe there for the perfection for the written and the fine print. Blind in the wind for the left, for the left, for the left, for the dissolution over the what you succeeded. Sealing over the cliff and there for the end of the rope of the hope of the this is becoming your destiny for the world. For the ladies and gentlemen, for the brothers and sisters, the warriors of the spider, for the lending of the not just your ears but your truth. Change and truly change must first devour the darkness and never hide and not fear for the swallowing a whole, for the taste of bitterness and the down the name, for the breaking in the hole, for the shadow, for it's not your enemy, for it's the proof that you have light. The fan for the flame, for the let it rise and let it burn away. For this is a small illusion for the power that's in you. The light is not fragile, it is fire, fury. Forgiveness and feed it to speak intuitive. For the let it roar, here to find the divinity for the books, not in the temples and the mirrors and the scars. This is the side is between the heartbeats. It's realizing you're still standing in enough. Become the choice. Become the divine self. Do the unthinkable for the slaying in your condo, for the becoming the deciding of the beyond the divinity for the choosing your faith for the forge. The fire and over the who makes us start thinking, well. So rise, brother, but light the flame for the rise and become what you are and what you can, and this is your beginning and not you. Out over the weather self, the love of the stand for the out over the two broken rangers with the carved in either hand, and you can find the chemical that cuts in there for the obsession, for the down and empty the map, there's nowhere to run, for the voice of the pain, for the replace of the sorrow, for the beneath the wandering, the sadness and the inch you ordered over the falling and the setbacks at the beginning to pursue. connection and take it for the giving, the scope for the lingering, and the pain for the searching for the more, for the left, for the life. It's easy enough for the nothing is true, for the pain is all, for the searching for the all of you, for the earnestly, given the choice in words, you find accept the pain for the change and never to have a voice. By my word, master's occasion, my bone integrity, get the change of forward. The strength is defined the mining and the radiance in the crystal city. For the untitled, for the pain is still here for the worse and worse by the day, for the beyond the teeth, and you can get it for the chest. Lying underneath for them, you get yourself flat enough to see the real you for beyond the teaching. But I am like a grandfather clock for the soldier to fight my way. Succumb to the heart flutters to before it flies into the stomach with the feeling the ground grab crack beneath you, crumbling into the lava for the forming of my feet. Words that don't make sense. It was washed in each other's feet. Silence been dwarfing me, and another finger for the tracking of the ridges of the ages of the causes and softened by the water and time. And it was just a gesture for the lover that does not boast. And the bowl overflowed with the stories and said, and there's a hum under the breath for the echoes of the morning when the leaving is one of the hardest to command. And the fanfare for the slowness of the recognition for the spoke between the silence and tasting over the pause, and it's the sight I've for once forbidden for the now share freely, or the harvest that comes within them for the wheat, coin but the children protected from the war becoming. Storms within the womb for the moment, the glances changed the house, and then hallway for the east, and AM for the now combined the cried in the arguments and bled into the devotion for the made the list of fears of the past and then offerings. And the reckoning found it encouraging us allowed the persistent pain, and this worn into the muscles like the faith that worked. When it parted for the day, I say goodbye, nodded towards the sky for the meet them again, for the stars, no gravity for the language, it become flicker for the breath of cosmos. Or sometimes I wonder if the contemplation yesterday was existence, the moonlit ink, this writing to hush, this air fed thinner for the memory to move. Not to be killer of kindness and not a murderer, for the release the whisper for the turning to the ink before they disappear completely, for the holding the way for the glancing and lingering too long, there'll be nothing enough will be named for the sin because of the bones that are more than not admitted to. The reaching you to feel it for the never the one to change you must instead of ever to remember your name for the soft undoing or for what you call the blank space between the lines and hold all regret. The caring for ever and never myself say that this is poems so this is how to become the only place that still exists and this is not enough of the way to hate that this is always left to art.